In this presentation, I will be discussing the need for Christians in Global South to uphold the sanctity of the church. At the end of this presentation, one should be able to define what Jesus meant by the term ecclesia, discuss the contemporary understanding of the church, evaluate the contemporary church and Jesus concept of the community. The global shift of mission activities from the West to the global South is a welcome trend as far as Christianity is concerned. The attendant proliferation of the churches in the region must not, however, be allowed to erode the sanctity of the church as depicted by Jesus Christ in Matthew 16:18. In his word, Michael Orris, the ICET director, talked excitedly about the development in his recent reels, where he says, and I quote, "We now have 70% of the churches in the world in a global South, Africa, Asia, Latin America. That is a remarkable statistic, developing, growing, and becoming stronger, with many new believers and mission-minded moving across the world to evangelize." End of the quote. This day, the community of Jesus followers goes by the name Church. Jesus, however, designated this community as the ecclesia. These two terms, church and ecclesia, have different meanings. Ecclesia denotes an assembly or gathering, and it is derived from a Greek word that means calling out or to summon. In common usage, the word refers to the calling out of citizens for an important meeting. It has different etymology from the word church. Church, on the other hand, is a transliteration of the Greek word kairos, which means house of the Lord. The origin of the English word church is not known precisely. Only Matthew presents Jesus as having used ecclesia in all the four gospels, three times in the entire gospel: Matthew 16:18, 18:17. The choice of ecclesia was appropriate. The word links two Greek words to mean a call-out assembly. It is now worrisome today that the church in Africa wears a face that largely differs from the way Jesus conceived it. This disparity in concept is reflected in the church's relation with the world or state, wherein it is no longer easy to find any marked difference between a community called out of the world and that world itself. Denominations are multiplying almost on a daily basis because of differences in doctrine, rivalry, political factors, race, and other factors. This tendency probably stems from contemporary misconception of the ecclesia as church. The idea of church as belonging to the Lord made many members of the institutional church today join the ecclesia as a club and have no sense of its spiritual demands. A scholar, Edgar Jones, in 2003, suggests that this probably started when Constantine converted to Christianity and began to use the faith as a political tool to govern the state. Since then, governments worldwide tend to use the institutional church in the same manner. In Africa, the church has become the safe abode of the politicians, the world's institution that has the most telling effect on the character of ecclesia today in the nation. The nation has summed the ecclesia into one of its departments to promote its political interests. The nation supports the church in various ways. For example, the state makes and enforces laws needed to preserve the freedom of religion, which the church enjoys. In Nigeria, the state even sponsors religious pilgrimage. This symbiotic relationship between the two institutions, church and state, draws from the same pool, the people, has erased the dividing line that Jesus Christ drew between the ecclesia, the gathering of the called out, and the world. The church had secretly crept into the world, and the world also into the ecclesia. It is high time we strove to maintain the distinct, identified that distinct identity that Jesus gave us as a congregation of God's people and restored the dignity of the ecclesia, just as the earlier Jerusalem church understood and designated itself as the ecclesia of the God. This equates the idea of a new creation community and the new humanity by which the early Christian community identified itself. The ecclesia can perform this social function effectively only when it remains an ecclesia, not a church. Thank you.